Boom. Okay, so welcome again. Session 2, Project Alpha. We got a couple more people that I hope can make it live. It would be great if they could. But all the links and all that for, can you guys hear me? Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just super delayed. Okay, classic. The internet here in Bali is, the one thing you can do is not depend on it, but it's just a little delay, it's okay. What I was gonna say is everyone has the replays will all be posted in MemberVault if you guys miss it. And what I'm gonna do, just so there's not confusion, is I'm going to send out a link with all of the dates and all the Zooms, so it'll be very easy for you all. And that way you guys, it'll be more, because last time I know I posted it in the chat and everyone didn't get it. And then the people who weren't here, I forgot they didn't have it. So people who weren't at the last live session, they don't have it. So that's kind of the main thing. And okay, we can get started. Welcome to session 2. Glad to have you guys here. What I kind of want to do is inspire you guys and hope you guys can ask more questions and ask your questions that you have during this entire thing. I forgot to say it last time. So I'm not just kind of here, I don't want to just go on a rant and I know I'm not boring you guys, but just feel free to ask your questions. There's no crazy questions. There's no stupid questions. Every question can help someone. And at the same time, I know it is super early for a lot of you all. Oh, we got one more person coming. Perfect timing. So I want you guys to feel free to ask any of your questions. And also something new we're gonna try. I usually do this when I do like a seminar or usually a seminar with a bunch of people. I like to do it live, but I've been doing it on Zoom. One thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna try to get our body involved. If there's one thing that I learned from being in Tony Robbins' programs is it's getting your physiology involved. Because what kind of happens is, as I get talking, and I can talk a lot, you guys know this, and I don't want to get people just being like, okay, like in school, and you're just like, okay. So we're gonna do something that I usually do. So when I'm gonna say something, I don't know, for example, like, and that's how you do it. You guys got it? Say boom, and you're gonna be like, boom. Okay? Yeah, exactly. I know I can't hear you, but it's like, it's for you. Like, even if you're in a lot of people, trust me, I feel more crazy than you do because a lot of people can see me if they come here. But you're gonna be like, you guys understand? Okay, say boom. Boom. Yeah. And you'll be surprised when you start to change your physiology, it really changes everything. So just to be aware, and because I know it is late for a lot of you guys out there, so I appreciate everyone taking the time to be here. Today's really special. I'm really excited for today, and even for making today, as I was going through this program beforehand, I know what I was gonna say, but even going through it, a lot of new things came through, things that I've been going through that I've been able to implement that I hopefully can share with you guys and really help you all to be more conscious. If you guys remember the last time we talked, like, it's about your awareness to things. It's not feeling guilty for your feeling guilty. I can't believe I didn't know that before. It's about understanding, like, wait, I'm aware of this now. Because once you're aware of it, then you can start to change. If you're never aware of it, sometimes you just don't change because you don't even know you're making a mistake. So everything is about awareness. So last week we talked about intent, having that intent, why you're here. Like, what do you want? Everyone's trying to figure what to do. Like, what do I have to do? But like, what do you want? It's the simplest answer that I ask to my clients, to people that I just meet, or a good friend of mine today, I saw him in the gym. What do you want? They have all these decisions. I've been doing this. I'm like, what do you want? That's an important question that we totally forget to ask. Sometimes the most obvious questions. So you really have to ask, like, what is it that you want? And to go on a rant, this is one of those things you don't have to journal about, but ask yourself, what do you want in this situation? Hold on, we got some more people. Oh, you're good? Janine, I think you're here already. Well, we'll admit both of you. No worries. But yeah, it's very important you guys ask, what do you want? So today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do something that's really, it's one of those things that's awareness, because we say things, but we don't really know what we're saying when it comes to everyone has different definitions for things. So if I say success, success for me is not the same as success is for you. So one of the things we need to do is really define what is success. People say they want something, like, I just want to be happy. Awesome. You found what you wanted. So last week was intent. You know what you want. But what does that mean? What's the definition of success for you? So because everyone has a different definition for everything. And this is when a lot of miscommunication happens. So you're taking a seminar and being successful, but someone else defines success as having $1 million, but someone else defines success as doing what they love to do, where someone else defines success as, oh, just being kind of happy. So it's one thing that's really important. And the thing that came to my mind when I thought of this, what sparked this all for me, was at the very beginning of the pandemic. So as you guys know, I'm in Bali, and, you know, everyone says it's a paradise, but when the whole world is shutting down, you know, you're trying to figure out what's going on. You know, the airport's closing. So everyone's kind of panicking. They're talking about flights are delayed. People are stuck here. I had friends stuck in Bangkok. Wasn't sure about going back to America. A lot of things went through my mind. But the definition that everyone had was, I want to go get home because I'm safe. Everyone had this same thing. Everyone said, go home because it's safe. So a lot of my friends, I had friends that flew back to France. I had friends that flew back to Russia. I had friends that flew back to Spain. I had friends that flew back to America. But I'm like, we all have different definitions. Because for me, going home because it's safe, that means going back to my home country of America. But for someone else, their definition was going back to Romania. So I started to realize this, what is this, the definitions? Definitions are so important. So when you have to understand what it is, we're gonna use just success. We're gonna use success as a definition. So what I want you guys to do is, I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. Everyone, you're gonna take a moment right now, and you're gonna write down one sentence of what success is to you. And you're gonna hold on to that. But I wanna say it now. I was gonna tell you the other part, but that might ruin it for you guys. So right now, everyone, you're gonna write down what your definition of success is. I'll give you guys 1 minute to do it. Or you guys got a minute, take your time. And you guys can keep writing, but I must say it's really fun teaching. This is the first time I've ever taught this whole thing on definitions. But I want you guys to write this down with what you know now. Then you're gonna hear this and you'll be like, oh, okay. Okay? And just if you're still writing, no problem, take your time writing, just kind of listen to me. And when I say definition, I've split the definitions, and I hope this really helps you, and watch the replay if you need to for this. But when I say definitions, if I tell you water, like, yo, some water fell on me yesterday. Like, everyone can think of something different, a different definition, but I'm saying water, like water kind of fell on me today. But water could be like it was raining. That's one definition. I could say, oh, like an icicle fell on my head. I'm not in Bali, but let's say I was in Antarctica or somewhere, maybe in Canada. I could say an icicle fell on my head. That's water as well. So when we use a definition, I could go on and on. Snow fell on my head. That's water. So I want you guys to understand that the definition, the context is so important. So you have your definition of a word. So we took success. You have your definition, but context is very important. So if you guys wrote down your definitions of success, can you guys just write it in the chats for me, please? Just write it in the chats, your one sentence definition. Now kind of keep talking while you're writing, just listen. Because you have the two forms of definition. You have your definition of the context of what it is. And the second one is in the moment. Like, what does this mean in this moment? So I'm gonna wait till some of you guys write on here, and then I'll give you guys a really good example. Okay, so we got one of them, freedom to travel and share with financial abundance. Really amazing. Oh, I love how you guys are using freedom in here. Amazing, amazing. I'm glad I picked this one. I was gonna pick freedom for you guys to define, but I want to start off really simple. But you guys can see, even in this definition of what you guys have on here, you're gonna need to define some of these. Because what is freedom? Freedom could be traveling, you know, because, all right, so we got some more. Success is happiness and contentment. I love it. To have freedom to help young people. Oh, I love that. That's amazing. Amazing. So as we said, when definition, there's two types. There's contextual, like what does it mean? What does free, we'll come back to this chat in a second. So there's contextual, like what does it mean? What does this mean for me? And there's momentary. And momentary, this one is like, what does it look like in this moment? What does it look like in this moment? And that's so important. And I'm gonna just point to a quick example here, and then I'm gonna tell you a story and you're gonna understand it. So freedom to travel and share with financial abundance, that's how you define success. So if you were free, if you were traveling and you had financial abundance and you are successful, what happens is, well, what does it mean in this moment to be successful? Because you get to a certain point where I'm free enough, I travel enough, but how does it look like in this moment? In this moment. So, and this story will give you guys a lot of context, and this is a really personal story, and I'm going to try to sum it up the easiest I can. But basically, you know, a while ago, almost a decade ago, I was living in Australia, and I was in a relationship, and my partner, we were going through a tough time, like tough times, and things weren't working out, and I was going to have to go. But, you know, I looked at myself as like, I'm a superhero. Like, I'm Luke, I'm the superhero, I'm strong, I'm not leaving. That's not what I'm doing. I'm fixing this, I'm going to make it right. I can help other people, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to help myself. So in that moment, contextual strength for me was just like, I didn't really have a definition. Strength was just like sticking with it and making it work. That's how I defined strength. Strength was being powerful. So I was like, I'm going to stick through this no matter what. You know, things kept getting worse. More things happened. I was gone more on the road with my team, and then I got transferred to another team. And I'm just like, I'm going to make this work. In my mind, strength, I'm strong. I can do this. And then a moment came when I got an opportunity to go to my dream, which is to play. I was playing basketball in Australia, was to go to Germany, which was a 27-hour flight away. And I left. And I looked at what his strength is. I'm like, strength is holding on. I got to get through this. I'm a superhero. I can do this. Like, I can help other people. I can fix this. I can help myself. That's what strength meant to me. And then I kept going. We still had worse problems. Distance just made everything worse when I thought it was going to be better. And I just stuck with it. Like, no, I'm strong. I can get through this. I'm a superhero. But what I forgot was this second part of what does strength look like in this moment? What does strength look like in this moment? And this is the part we always forget, because we can make a mistake on the first one. I think I made a mistake in saying that strength was that. But in the context, in the moment, what did it look like in that moment? That was the problem. Because the truth of the matter was, strength in that moment was letting go. That's what strength looked like in the moment. And this is where, when we're defining our successes, when we're defining what freedom is, when we're defining what things are, it's important that we make sure we see what it looks like in this moment. So it's like, what does that look like now? And what does it look like in this moment? These are two questions you can just keep asking yourself. Reframe the questions until you get to the true source. Because what happens a lot of times is we think of what strength is in that moment, it was letting go. But in another moment, there's a different definition for that same exact word, you know, because I can give you a very good example is when I used to travel Europe. When I was traveling around Europe and having a great time, everything's all good, and I was partying every night, and that's what I love to do for months in between my basketball seasons. And that made me happy. But when I'd fly back to America for my 2 or 3 weeks in America each year, happiness was playing Barbies with my niece. That's what happiness was for me. So you can see that it was the same word, but the definition changes. The definition changes based on the context. But you have to take that next step. It's like, what does it look like in this moment? Because you're going to realize a lot of the things you're doing, like, you know what, I want to help more people. This is what I need to do. So what happens is, especially if all of you guys are driven, that's why you're here. But you end up doing all this work. Like, I'm going to do all these papers and design this website. I'm going to get all this information. I'm going to buy this course. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to implement it. But maybe helping other people is you just taking a break and getting yourself right in that moment. That's what it looks like. So when it comes to these definitions, it's truly, you really need to put it into context. Because when you don't do that, what happens is you end up getting frustrated over something where you want happiness, you want success. You want success. So someone who, just to pick on not even to pick on you, I'm going to pick some of you guys. Hold on, we lost some people, hold on. think we're good. So I'm not gonna pick on some of you guys, but I'm gonna read one of you guys. So you said you have freedom to help young people. That was your definition of success. So that's great. But once you're helping young people and you're working 10, 12 hours a day, how do you define success then? Or are you just considered as successful in your mind? Because this is something that's so important. And one thing that I think will really benefit a lot of you is you've defined these words. All of you guys wrote things that need to be more defined and more clear. Like, clarity is a superpower. Like, if you can be clear of what it is that you want, if you can be clear of, let's see, I'm trying to think of, let's go to another one. To have freedom to pursue my passions. I love that. Ferdinand, that's awesome. So now what we'd have to do to pick apart this is freedom. Pick apart that. What does freedom mean for you? And the next thing is your passions. Well, what are your passions? This is something that's really important to remember. If you guys can remember, I said it in the beginning of this, but we talked about it more in the first session, was what do you want? What do you truly want? Like, and when you ask that, when you want to pursue your passion, what is your passion? What does that look like? What does that look like for you? If you have to define it, because sometimes we're not super clear. You know, a lot of people are like, I don't like my job. And that's cool. But what do you like? And we're like, I don't know. You know, I had a great call the other day with one of my clients, and, you know, I was asking them, like, so what do you want? I asked them the same question that I'm asking you guys. You guys inspired me to ask them that question in our first session working together, which usually I don't do. It's like the second one. But I asked them, I was like, yo, what do you want? And like, you know, I don't know. I've been just kind of doing all this kind of stuff. And I was like, that's great. Okay. So I want you to say that I'm at your home right now, and I ask you to go to the store. The first thing you'd ask me, well, what do you want? And what if I were to tell you, well, I don't know what I want from the store, but I don't want chocolate. I don't want anything wrapped in plastic. I don't want anything that's red, and I don't want anything that's a liquid. Go. And then I asked my client, I'm like, well, what are you doing? She's like, well, I was like, well, no, you're going to the store. What would you bring me back? And I don't know what inspired them to say this. They said, I'm going to bring you back some celery. You're going to bring me back some celery. I'm like, yeah. I was like, what do you bring me back some celery for? I don't want celery. And then I said, well, what was the next question you'd ask me when I say I don't want celery? You'd ask me, what do you want? What do you want? And then now, again, I don't know. So then it's like, well, of course, what would you tell me then? If you don't know what you want, when we're asking this to the universe, but really this is the conversation that goes on in our head. It's not to someone else. This is the conversation that's going on in our mind all the time. Well, what do you want your mind saying? Because as we talked about in the last one, I guarantee you every single one of you here, you have achieved what you've wanted, but you weren't clear enough, so you don't even realize you've achieved it. For example, I could go down here, every single one of you. Freedom to travel and share financial abundance. I bet you've been able to travel somewhere. Well, of course, now it's a little bit more complicated, but going for a walk for me is considered traveling. And you have a little bit of money. So you kind of do. You have it. But when you're more clear, you're like, well, actually is the powerful word. That's a power word. Well, actually, because you have that. And the next one, we can keep going on. And listen, guys, I think I even wrote down what mine was. Because I wrote one too, and I'll write it down. So people don't, I like to participate with you. I don't know if I wrote, doing the best I could with This is important. So you guys can see that my definitions are messed up as well. Doing the best I can with what I had. It's hard to think, type, and look at all you guys and read your comments at the same time. Okay, I think I got it. Doing the best I can with what I had. That's how I define success. That for me. So if we won't go down here and we go to the next one, we go to Ferd, to have the freedom to pursue my passions. So if I was, for example, if I was working with you, I'd be like, well, Ferd, do you have a little bit of freedom now to pursue your passion? Yeah. I mean, you've achieved it. You're done. Perfect. Done. You've achieved that success, my brother. You're good. Perfect. And I'm pretty sure you're like, well, actually, yeah, you got it. And if you look at we go to the next one. Success is happiness and contentment. I'm kind of looking at you right now, Sherry. You look a little bit, you kind of look a little happy right now. You look a little frustrated at yourself, but you look kind of happy and you look pretty content right now. You're successful. You are 100% successful. Done. You're successful. Done. Now let's go to the next one. Rafa, to have the freedom to help young people. I believe that you are helping young people right now. I have that feeling. Are you helping young people right now? You've achieved your success. You're but are you doing it? You're helping young people. I believe you have a family. You're helping your kids. You're helping the people around you. If you saw a kid fall, you do it. You've achieved it. You've achieved it. Now I go to myself, doing the best I can with what I had. Well, right now you're outside. You're shining this. I didn't charge my light that I use. This is the light that I use, so I'm using this bright light in my face. This is what's shining in my face. I'm doing the best I can with what I have right now. So I'm successful. But actually, there's something deeper than that I want. So we talked about in the first session, clarity is so powerful. Clarity is powerful. And you guys have it. You have the very first little bit of what you want. Now, what I want you guys to do with this definition of success, and use this as an example for all the definitions of things you have, to refine it, to change it. The freedom to travel and share with financial abundance. I mean, you could change that to something that you don't have right now, or I think it's great that you guys have things that you have now. But it would be better if you realize that you have this already and you want something bigger. You know, the freedom to travel whenever I want to and not worry about money. Like, that's a good thing to strive after. Now, there's nothing wrong with any of these answers. One thing I meant to tell you guys in the first session was there's no such thing. There's no right and wrong. I don't believe in it. I've traveled around a lot of places in the world. I've seen a lot of cultures, and what's right in one country is completely wrong in another country. Like, I've been to Amsterdam, and when I was in Amsterdam, you're allowed to smoke weed, no problem. Here, you can get put before a firing squad. So what's the right and wrong here? What's their look at this, look at it like this. What's the definition of right and wrong? Because every country defines it differently, and every country has a different punishment for it. So this is something that's really important to remember. Super important is the context. And then what does it look like in the moment? So in the moment, and whenever I say this, it's really important to be honest with yourself where you are right now. So asking yourself, in this moment, what does success look like? Because right now, I live in Bali. And what happens is, before I say that, or before I get into that, one thing that a mistake people make, this is a mistake that I make a lot, that I really catch myself on now, but it's what most entrepreneurs, what most people do, is they forget to redefine their definition of what they want. Because everyone, if you're sitting in a cold place, or you're sitting in a quarantine, if you're sitting in a place you don't want to be, a country you don't want to be, like for you right now, freedom looks like being at a beach in Bali with a coconut. But let me tell you, I'm in Bali. I live in Bali. And if I were to have that same mentality, it wouldn't work anymore. Going to a beach with a coconut, it's a great feeling, but now I have to reset that. So it's really important. What does it look like right now? Because success will look different for you. Because once you have the freedom to travel and you have the financial abundance and you keep on using that as your definition of success. So it's like, oh, I wake up every day, I'm successful. But you want to strive for success, you got to redefine it. Because now that I'm here and I'm overlooking the sea and I have that, I got to redefine what makes me happy right now. Because of course it makes me happy to a certain extent, but the law of diminishing returns, as we talked about before, will take effect. And if you want to keep making progress in your life, as all of you do, or else you wouldn't be here, you got to redefine it, because then you'll feel like you're making progress. You know, my mentor, Tony Robbins, says progress equals happiness. If you don't feel like you're making progress, doesn't matter what's going on, you'll feel unhappy. You'll feel unfulfilled. This is why I help people with fulfillment, because people have the money. A lot of my clients, they have the money, they have the business, they have the life that they want, but they're not happy. And they keep on, the thing that most people do is they just try to add to make themselves happy. Buy something else, do a new hobby, try something, do this. But it's like, whoa. What is making you unhappy right now? What if we just remove that block? And this is what this is right now. Because right now we're shining the flashlight. Well, I'm shining the flashlight. I'm literally shining. I'm about to be blind after this, but I'm shining the flashlight right now. And My eyes are really starting to burn. I'm joking. I'm good. But really, it's shining a flashlight to find out where that block is. You know, we're going to get into fear and we're going to get into all that stuff later, and you'll really see like, oh my goodness, I'm just scared. But I can tell you right now, every single one of you here, if there's something stopping you, including myself, things that stop me from getting to the next level, is there's a fear. It's always there. You know, the fear was always going to be there. If you want me to tell you something, the fear is going to be there. I can promise you. Another one of my mentors, Melanie Ann Lair, she said, you can either walk with your fears, or you can walk away with your fears. That's it. That's it. And one of the signs that I'll tell you, and I guess we can talk a little bit about fear now. I wanted to keep today's episode really short so you can get really into definitions, but you'll know you're trying, because I think it's important to know the symptoms, and it's important to know what your symptoms are, because everyone has different ones, but there's very classic ones. When people feel fear, and you can see this now in society, people try to control. So you can tell the amount of fear people have by the amount of how much they try to control something. So you can tell the amount of fear that you have. I can tell the amount of fear that I have by what I control. What do I try to control? What do control can mean hide. Now here we gotta define what is control? What does that mean? Like, I'm trying to just meet my friends in this place. I want to share this stuff, but only with these people. I do not want to post this publicly. There's a fear. There's a fear that people have. And it's a huge fear. Like, I'm telling you, I haven't worked with millions of people. I don't even think I've worked with thousands of people. But one day I will. But the pattern I have right now is there's a fear with everyone. Everyone's really worried about how people are going to see them. Like, one of the biggest fears is people are worried they're going to be judged. That's it. That's the fear. If you can, but I can't just tell you that. You got to experience it for yourself. You got to go through that by yourself and feel that nervousness as you're making that post, as you're sharing your passion. Because there's a fear. You have this fear that people are going to judge you. I can tell you that right now. If you want to know the truth, if I cut straight to your heart, you're worried people are going to judge you. I'm going to tell you guys a secret. Everybody judges everybody. You all right here, you're judging me. You're judging me right now. Like, what the hell is this guy saying? Is this true? I don't even know. Does he know what he's talking about? Does he even, like, he doesn't even know what I've been through. What is he talking? Like, everyone judges everyone all the time. But you get to this point where you're like, well, am I going to let that stop me? Because it's that fear. And that's one of the biggest things that hold people back. And I can tell you that once you do have all these things, there's going to be something. Like, there's going to be stress all the time. Like, stress comes. It's natural. There's this mentality like, once you reach something, it's done. Like, when you reach it, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Like, once I have this, it's over. Like for me, like, once I get to Bali and I have a villa and I have a pile of coconuts outside and I wake up in the morning and I open a coconut and drink it before my coffee, everything will be fine in my life. This is the illusion we tell ourselves. So we just hold out until that day comes. Like, we just make it to that moment. And then we get there and we're like, wait, I still feel stressed. Of course you do. Of course you do. You know, I talked to a lady. Oh, and I see your question, Janine. I'm gonna get to it in 1 second. If I go off, sometimes I know myself really well. If I go off answering the question in the middle of a rant, I forget everything that I'm gonna say. But I met with a lady the other day, and I met with this lady, and she was saying, you know, she's like, I'm just really nervous trying to ask people to charge for coaching. Like, I don't know what the prices are. And we had this discussion. We were talking. I was like, well, what do you charge for the year? She's like, well, I charge $30,000 for the year. And I was like, well, if you believe that, if you think no one's going to pay, there's a mirror belief. You guys remember we talked a little bit about it last week or 2 days ago. Was it two? Wow, feels like it was like a week ago. But what happens is when you say one thing, something else must be true. You must believe something else. Like, if you say, I don't want to spend this money on this, even though I need it, what you're saying is you must believe you're not going to make your money back. Like, people wanted to be in this program. People wrote me, and I made this a lower cost program because I wanted people to be in it, and I knew it would benefit people. And it's something brand new for me, group coaching, which is a fear for me. Like, I've never hosted a program of my own. Like, I've never hosted a program live, a group program like this. I've recorded my programs and sold them. That's not a problem. I can do live for like Instagram and YouTube, but live with a bunch of people, your energy is different. Like you're here to like learn. Like you guys are, there's a different energy than it is when people are just like, how tall are you? Wow, I love Bali. Do you know about the situation? Like, no, this is like very intentional. There's a very big difference. So of course I feel nervous doing this, but you do it anyways if we have to jump back into fear. But going back into the energetics of things, like thinking that once I have this, I'll be fine. Talking to this lady, and she said she charges $30,000 for coaching for the year, which is, I mean, I know people charge more than that. But I was like, you don't feel like you're ready to do that. She's like, I don't know. But in her mind, she thought that once she got someone to pay her $30,000 for coaching, then she'd be fine. She'd have no more worries. And I could see in her mind, she was so worried about this number. It's too high of a number. She doesn't actually believe in it herself. And I was saying, do you know, I was talking to her just right outside, like they stay in a hotel and I go by there all the time. And I looked at her and I said, well, you know, you're so scared to charge that much. Do you know if I were to give you $30,000 right now, like if I gave you $30,000 right now to coach me and I transferred you the money, you'd probably go home and have a heart attack because it's too much for you to handle. It's too much for you to handle. Like it's too much. You don't believe in yourself. There's too much fear. So now when you've got the money, what you think is going to make everything better, like now I can pay my bills, now I have someone, but now you feel pressure because you weren't ready for it. That's why it's like such little baby steps when it comes to putting yourself out there, but knowing what success is. Freedom to travel 3 days a week. That's a great target. That's a great target. Now to feel successful and being successful, there's a fine line, but I think you should always just have that ambition. Like I like the freedom to travel 3 days a week. I like to have freedom to create something for kids 2 hours a day. Because now your brain knows what to look for. Now it knows we have 2 hours free between 6 and 8. We can create something for the kids and watch that joy fill up. But what's going to happen is once you do that every day for like a week, once you expand your vision expands. So once you guys raise that level, you see what's possible. And now you see further as well. So now you say, I want to do 3 hours a week. Like for me, this whole coaching thing came in because I expanded. I loved working with people one-on-one. It was great. It's fun. I love it. I'll always work with people one-on-one. I'll just raise my prices for my time. But I was like, now that I'm working with people one-on-one, I'm really realizing what people struggle with on a very like personal level. Like my clients, they share everything. And I see exactly where the fear is. I see exactly that they're trying to defend an identity. I see it so clearly. And I already saw it before I even had any clients. I saw it when just talking to people. But when I saw that, I was like, that's amazing. I want to teach that to more people. But if I were to work with all of you guys one-on-one, that would be tiring for me. I could do it. But I'm like, there's a better way. And that's a great question to ask yourself. Everything comes down to the questions you ask. What about asking yourself, a great question is like, is there a better way to do this? Is there a better way to do this? Amazing question. Because it makes your brain think in a completely different way. Like, not how am I going to do this? Can you feel the difference between like, how am I going to do this? Or asking yourself, is there a better way to do this? You guys are going to hear me throughout this entire next 2 weeks that we have together, going to be talking about questions. I'm going to talk about questions a lot because questions, that is the key. It's all about questions because thinking is only questions. We said it, that's my favorite example to give. I'm like, you guys know thinking is only questions? Because I know everyone's thinking, is that true? You ask yourself a question. Oh my gosh, he's right. Is he? I don't think so. Wait, have I been doing this the whole time? That's like 5 questions you just asked. And I say it all the time to people. So then it's just like, well, why don't we just change the questions and get you have a new way of thinking? I probably will repeat that 1 minute thing I just told you. I'm going to repeat it every single time. And all of you guys watching the replay, yes, I'm going to repeat it a lot. So be ready for that. So to get some questions real quick, do you think it should be specific? 100%. So I didn't get it, and this is, I don't know what, okay, yeah, this is perfect. So about the celery, when I talked to my client about this, and she said, because we're going to talk, this is an emotion. I keep forgetting, I got to take my time with this. Because I keep thinking like, oh, you guys know this already. You guys know that an emotional charged desire allows you to do everything, right? But I'm like, okay, where do we start to explain this from the baseline? So when you hear like that mother who lifts her car up to get her baby, there's an emotional charge there. And when an emotional charge is there, it's jet fuel for whatever it is that you want to do. For whatever it is, it's jet fuel. So I could look at, I'm going to pick on one of you guys. I can look at Sherry right now. Sherry looks pretty athletic, wearing a little athletic outfit. I see you. Now I can look at Sherry and be like, hey, Sherry, your place is on fire. You got to get out. You got to get out right now. Sherry would run out that house faster than she could ever get out that house. And she still would think I could have come out there faster, but that was as fast as I could go. Now, if I were to say, Sherry, there's a fire, but 2 floors above you, there's a mother who left her baby in the apartment there, and the door's locked, and the baby's crying, and the place is on fire. All of a sudden, there's an emotional charge. And now instead of running out, which is logic, you cancel all that out because of an emotion. But if you can make that emotion super strong, if I can say, hey, that's your child in there, or I can say, hey, your family's in there, your entire family's in there. Your entire family's in a house across the street at the top floor, and that place is on fire. You'd be surprised what you can do, because you need to charge it, and you charge it by being specific. If I say, I think there's a fire and maybe someone's there upstairs or somewhere, I think maybe, possibly, something. You'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? Get out of my house. Because what does that mean? Because you charge things with emotion. So back to hey, I don't want anything with plastic or anything red or anything liquid, and I got back a celery stick. Now, to go to your question, Jeannie, which is perfect, should you be specific? So you tell me if you were the person who was going to the store and I said that, and you brought me back a celery stick. And now I'm just like, I don't want this. And you ask me, what do I want? And I were to answer, oh, actually, I'd like a peanut butter. That's what I'd like. Now you have a little bit more of an idea of what I want. So you could go to the store and he wants peanut butter. I don't know, if I see it, I'll grab it. That works. Let's take another round. You give me the celery stick. I don't want the celery stick. Well, Luke, what do you want? I actually would love a Skippy peanut butter. It has like a green lid on it, and it's like 370 grams, and it's my favorite one. Like, okay, I got you. Okay. It's a little bit easier for you because you kind of know what you're going for, what you're going after. A little bit easier. Now let's go back. We go back. What the hell is this celery stick? I don't want a celery stick. Luke, what do you want? I would love some peanut butter. It's like a Skippy peanut butter. It has like a green turquoise-ish lid, 370 grams. It says Skippy. It's like really red, big writing on it. They have it at the CVS, the little store on the corner, and when you first go in there, you turn left and look down, and it's right there. It should be on sale. Now when you go to the store, you're like, I know exactly what they want. I know where to get it. I know what it looks like. Perfect. I got it. Now, I know you're like, oh, that's specific is better. So you have a pretty good emotion. But let's add one more thing to this equation, because we can keep going with this. And this will show you. Now imagine I tell you that same exact thing, the Skippy, the green, it's red, it's down the street, it's when you first walk in, 50% off on the left-hand side, bottom shelf. But let's say your car doesn't start. You're like, my car doesn't start. I mean, he really wanted it, so I guess I could go and get it, maybe. I don't know. But you'd have that doubt in your mind. You'd have that doubt. And maybe it wasn't your car started. Maybe you got there and you didn't have enough money when you got to the grocery store. You only had enough to either get the peanut butter or get yourself a water. Maybe as an expensive water. Let's say you're in Sweden. Okay? So you're like, okay, what do I do? I'm not sure. But you are clear. You're there. And I say that because things are going to come up in your life. And if you're not specific, when something comes up, you're going to be way off. You're going to be thrown off. You're not going to know what to do because you haven't made a clearer choice. But now you have made it clear. You have a clear choice right here that you know what I want. Now, how bad do I want that? That's the next question. So with that information, I know it's a lot. We're going to go back. We're going back to the celery stick. What the hell is this? I don't want the celery stick. Well, what do you want? I want that green Skippy thing. It's like the green lid, and I want it because it has the red Skippy thing on it. It's 370 grams. Go down the corner store. It's on the bottom shelf to the left. And if you get that soon, that'd be amazing, because my best friend is sick, and if they don't have peanut butter and they don't get that in their system, they have this real problem. We have to take them to the hospital. You're the only one that can get it. Would you please be able to get it? We can pay you back, but we just need you to get it. Now you leave there on a mission. You're not the same person leaving the store. You're a totally different person, totally different charge. Now your car doesn't start. You're like, okay, time to put my shoes on. You're thinking about, now when the car doesn't start, you don't even think of that. You just think of, how am I going to get there? There's no, do I want to go there? That doesn't come up. That's how specific you were. That's how specific. That's specific. So when you're being specific, that's the difference. That's the difference between doing whatever it takes to grab that peanut butter or getting a celery stick. You can replace that with whatever you want in your life, but that's how it is. But there's a catch to this. This is something that's super important. You have to actually believe that the peanut butter exists. That's the thing. You got to believe it. And that's something that people don't do. So I'm looking at your second part of your question, like $1 million as an example. Well, do you believe $1 million? Do you believe, like, what does that mean? Like $1 million as an example. Should you be specific? Like, I want $1 million. Can you actually believe that? Most people can't, even if they've had $1 million. Because when you have $1 million, you don't want another $1 million. You want 10 million more dollars. And we'll get into it a little bit later. I'll just touch on it really briefly. What you'd have to do is you'd have to break that down into something you could believe in. It's all about believing in it first. So instead of maybe $1 million, let's maybe go for 100,000. Very simple. Or let's go 1,000. I just had this discussion with the client as well. So we were talking about collapsing time. This is what we're going to talk about later. I think next week we should be able to get to it. If not, we'll get to this. No, the last week we'll get to this. Collapsing time. So we're doing all this stuff right now. Then we'll work on collapsing time. Collapsing time means you know it's going to happen. So when I send you for the peanut butter, I believe that the peanut butter exists. I know it exists. I know it does. And now I know you're going, because this discussion, it really isn't you getting me the celery stick or you getting me the peanut butter. This is all happening in your head, as I said before. This is you talking to you. But if you go there like, actually, I know the peanut butter is probably not even there. So why do I even, because once you let that in, then you start asking yourself even more questions. Is it even worth it? I don't know. Not worth it. I don't think so. But when you can believe it. So if I say, I want you to make $1,000 tomorrow, guys, every single one of you guys, I want you to make $1,000 tomorrow. Some of you are like, okay, yeah, I can do that. Yeah. Some of you are like, oh, what? Like, I'm trying to make $1,000 this month. Some of you are like, I don't even know what $1,000 is. I don't even know how to make it in this year. Which all of those answers are okay. Because what you got to do is you got to collapse time. So what I would ask you to do is, like, do you think, and we have to go through, we would go through a process for this. So I would say, do you think you can make $1,000 in the next 10 years of your life? You'd be like, yeah, I think so. I think I can make $1,000. Everyone here, you can all make $1,000 in the next 10 years of our life. So I'm like, awesome. So you believe it. Now you believe the $1,000 is real. You believe the $1,000 exists. So now it's there. You know what it is. So now is when you collapse the time to make it happen. But most people want it to happen, but they don't even believe it. There's a difference. So we'll get into it more because there's a little bit of a process and explanation for it, but that's a little quick answer for it. It's collapsing time to get it. So the $1 million, you do the same thing, but that would take a lot more energy depending on what state you're in. Most people don't believe it. They just say it because everyone else says it. Because what's $1 million? You can have $1 million. I heard a great quote, and I say this every time I hear someone ask about $1 million. This person said, I think it was in the movie Office Space. The person said, hey, he's like, I really want $1 million. And the guy's like, you want $1 million? He's like, yeah, I want $1 million. He's like, what's the first thing you do if you got $1 million? And the guy's like, well, if I had $1 million, I'd do absolutely nothing. And the guy's like, you don't need $1 million to do nothing. And you're just like, nah, what's the desire for it? Like what? You want $1 million so you can sit on a beach all day? You don't need $1 million to do that. You don't. So your why is really important. And that's the truth. Most people are like, yeah, if I sent you guys all, let's say $200,000 on PayPal right now, and people are like, oh, I quit my job. You can quit your job tomorrow. There's nothing really hard. There's nothing really tangible because you can do it already. Just like you guys have all achieved your successes here and you don't even realize it. Same thing there. People feel like you're not free. Like, oh, I have to go to, you don't have to go to your job. You don't have to. You can just not show up tomorrow. You can just stay in bed until they come and carry you out. That's a choice. You may not like the result of it, but it's a choice. You have the freedom to choose. You always do. I had a choice. I could just say, you know what? I don't feel like doing Project Alpha tonight. I'm just going to send everyone their money back and go to sleep. I'm free to make that choice. So we forget the fact that you are free to make the choice. So we got to be more specific. We got to look at the definition of freedom. We got to look at the definition of that. What does that freedom mean? And if you believe, like, so when I say so if someone says freedom to travel, and this is something I was going to hope to do it next week, but we can get into it really quick. I love breaking the plan all the time. It's one of my things. So you could say freedom to travel. So when I look at someone to say that, for you to say you want the freedom to travel, for that to happen, one question you need to ask yourself, for this to happen, or for me to want this, what else has to be true? So by you saying, I want freedom to travel, that's almost saying like you don't have it already. And one thing that I've learned like lately is words are so powerful. The words you guys are saying now, which is why I'm getting you guys to become aware of this, to have the freedom to help young people. Rafa, I promise you, you have the freedom to help young people right now. That's not what you want. There's something else you want. And that's what you need to look at. So everyone lays something very, very, very surface level, but there's something deeper that you want. There's something deeper because you guys have that already. And now it's becoming aware of that. Every single one. Like even me doing the best I can with that. Well, that's what you're doing, Luke. Well, I want to do it more effectively, more efficiently. Oh, okay, I understand that. That's a good one. I want to do it in a better way. I want to do it and have more time because you guys have it already. And this is the important thing to remember, because a lot of times our words are so powerful. You know, I'm as big as a guy as I am. I don't think I've met any of you guys in real life before, but I'm a pretty massive human. I'm a genetic celebrity here in Asia. Basically, everyone, they can't believe that me. I've broken so many chairs in Vietnam. If you guys only knew. And I can't find shoes or nothing. I'm pretty much of a genetic celebrity, as people call it. But, you know, when I have that, I need to remember actually, hold on one second. Can you guys hear me? Oh, everyone's screen just froze. Hold on one second. Oh, I think I'm back. You guys good? Can you hear me? Thumbs up. Okay, good. And I forgot what I was saying. Scratch that story. Also, how frequently do you think one should reevaluate their life goals? I think right before you accomplish your goal, you need to do it. That's what you need to understand. Oh yeah, genetic celebrity. I can't remember where I was going with that. You know, when I'm on stage, I have like a train of thought person that I'm going to hire. And they're only going to be there for when I lose my train of thought. They're going to be there to be like, oh, you were saying this and that. I'd be like, thank you. No joke. I swear I'm going to do that. Happens to everyone. But how frequently do I think you should reevaluate your life goals? I think you should do it right before you reach your goal. What's the first thing that happens when you reach your goal? Everyone here. How do you feel? Like, yeah. And how do you feel 5 minutes later? Okay, what's next? So it's almost like anticipating. So one thing that I like to help people to really understand, this is something that I really I do this really with all my clients, and we really do this, we break this down, is we talk about react, respond. These are the two things people do. I'm gonna tell you a third one. And okay, you guys are helping me remember what I was gonna say. Okay, here, generic associate to now know when you're near achievement. Got you. Generic allow you to know when you're near achievement. Okay. No, but I'm gonna go with this real quick. React and respond. So when something happens, I'm gonna use an example of the rain, okay? When it rains here, reacting to the rain is like what? Like, oh my gosh, it rained again. This is horrible. It rains, okay. all right, what do I have to do? This is how most people go about living their life with anything in this reactional state. When you're in reactional state, you can't really respond very well. Reactions of very low frequency. I know that might not be good lingo for you guys, but it's very something that a baby does, basically, like a child. Like it rains and it's like, ah, that's reacting to something. Responding to something, which is much better, which is not really say better, it's a higher level. It's being like, oh, it's raining, I need to get an umbrella. This is what I need to do. But the third part, which is what people don't think about, and this is a game changer for my life, and I guarantee if you start to apply this, it'll be a game changer for your life. You have reacting and you have people who respond. But the top people, they anticipate. They anticipate. This is the key. You just need to anticipate. So what happens when you're asking a question about how frequently do you need to reevaluate your life goals? You anticipate that you're going to achieve it. And then what are you going to do? Because everyone wants to be on a beach in Bali all day until they live in Bali. Because trust me, when you live here, you don't want to be on a beach all day. You'll cook. Me, I'm on the beach, and if I go to the beach, it's before 10 or it's after 4. Any of that time in between, leave that to the Balinese. They're born, they're fine, they're used to the heat. If you're from Western culture, it's not what you think. So what do? You anticipate when you get there, what am I going to do? And people just don't do it. People are trying to respond to when I get there, what am I going to do? The number one question people ask me is like, what can I do to make money when I'm in Bali? And I'm always just like, I mean, there's a lot of things you could do. A power question is like, what can I do right now that would allow me to make my life easier when I get to Bali? That's a power question. And I've maybe got 2 people out of that's asked me that question. Out of probably hundreds of people, 200 people have asked me this. What to do for work in Bali? What to do in Bali? It's anticipating. So it's anticipating when you reach your life goals, then what? Like my goal is just to have children and a beautiful family. Okay, what's that mean? What after that? What's you gonna do? So you got to reevaluate. You just got to anticipate when you achieve it. What are you gonna do? Okay. Getting here. Does it have to be a negative outcome that will result if you don't? Like fear is the only motivator. I mean, fear is the motivator, but I don't think fear is the best motivator. It doesn't get you the result. I could scare all of you guys and say, hey, if you guys aren't here when the thing starts at 9 o'clock, you're not getting in. I'd motivate all of you guys to get here. Most of you guys would be here at 8:59, waiting for him to open it. Like, come on, open it, come on. But then how would you feel when you were here? You feel like you were forced to be here. You'd bring in a different energetic. You know, so I think that I think that when so many people look at failure as like their definition, like this whole entire section here is all about the definition, how you define failure. Because the only difference between you, all of you guys watching this, and the person who has $100 million version of you watching this, and I mean you yourself, is they just know more. The version of me who has $100 million just sitting around that he doesn't really care about, he knows more than I do. His definitions are different. And as you guys are progressing in your life, your definitions are going to change. Because you're going to realize that, wait, failure means I just didn't do it. No, what if you change the definition to failure being like you quit? If something didn't work out, you didn't fail, you got a result. You always get a result, everything you do. It may not be the result that you wanted, but you got a result. And you build off of that. You build off your successes. So what are we taught in school about debt? Debt is bad. It's bad to have debt. But some of the richest people in the world are in so much debt because they realize, like, wait, if I'm in debt, $700 million, I don't have to pay taxes. Meanwhile, I'm worth $1 billion. Check out Robert Kiyosaki. He boasts on it all the time. They just look at it different. So it's one of the most important things. So what you guys want to do is you need to always reset your goals. And it's very interesting because I do, believe it or not, I do write notes sometimes. But it's the first time I'm teaching this. Usually I can just go on a rant, but I don't want to get too far off topic. But about your question is, how frequently do you think you should reevaluate your life goals? I have written down to reset your goals. And I have 2 examples here, but I'll just put one. I want you guys to think about the astronauts. First astronauts, Neil Armstrong, these people. Now the astronauts, they're in a contestant of, I think there's like 10,000 people that try to do it, and they narrow it down to like 1,000. And then from that 1,000, they take the very, 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 very best. And then these people, like I'm like part French. Like one of the astronauts is French. He speaks like 9 languages. This guy's a genius. Like his degrees are like unlimited. Like he engineer, knows everything. Like 9 languages. And just like, he's like, oh, it's easy. He did an interview and answered every single reporter's question in all the different languages. He's an astronaut. So they train their whole lives. They just train, they live, they breathe. Before they even go to space, I don't know if you guys know, but they wear inverted glasses for I think like a month. Because in space, there's no up or down, or there's nothing. There's no sense of direction. That's something we account to here on Earth because of gravity. And they wear these glasses that show them they don't know what's up and down. There's mirrors on the glasses. So they're seeing like everything in reverse and having to do everything like this so they can get used to being upside down. Because if we actually went to space, we'd freak out because we need things to be like, how do I even go to the bathroom? Like, first of all, like, you know, everything like we don't even think about, they're handling, they're anticipating this. They're anticipating this. The best things are anticipating. So what happens is they do all this training, and then they finally get ready. They're cleared to go to the moon, or they go to space, International Space Station. So let's say that that's their goal, and they finally did it. They finally did it. They finally got to space after all this. They spend their time there, 3 months, 6 months, whatever their interval is on the International Space Station. They come down. They're heroes. They're heroes of their nation forever. For the rest of their life, they'll be a hero all the time. Now, as soon as they finish their press conference and now they go, or they stay there so they can learn how to walk again because it takes a while, no gravity for 6 months. So imagine that while they were there and they get home, and now they finally arrived home after being in space, and they sit down, close the door, and they're just, whoa, what's my goal now? What makes me happy now? I was just in space for 6 months. Like, how do I reevaluate this? You can anticipate it, though. I can come down and go straight into doing this. That helps. Every single one of you guys here, I'm sure you guys have all traveled before. And you know when you come back from a vacation, that feeling you have when you get home, you're like, it's great to be home, but I'd rather probably be back on vacation. There's that low that you get. Everyone gets it. I get it all the time. I travel for 2 months, come home, be like, oh, got to start training for next season again. And it's like, what you can anticipate it. That's why one of the reasons I started YouTube. I anticipated, like, I come home, I have all this excitement, and I want to share all these stories, but I can't share this with one person because I bore them. I need a place to put it. So when I come home, I wouldn't be super sad and like depressed anymore. I come home and be super excited because I'm like, and now I'm going to do this. So that's why, like, you always need to reevaluate your goals all the time. But you do it not by responding, by anticipating. And I'm gonna give you a very good example, and I'll try to wrap it up. I try to keep it under an hour, guys. I talk a lot. Are you guys getting some value out of this, though? Clap your hands, say boom. Boom. There we go. There we go. Getting some value out of it. So this is something that's so important. Is one thing I want you guys to do with these definitions. These definitions are so important for you guys to define all these things. So what I want you to do is, and I'm gonna give you one last example, and I hope that this really, really hits home for you, is take any of these words that you guys use. You guys use a lot of big words where, like, for example, if we were working together, I'd ask you to define that. So Ferd, I'd be like, what does freedom mean to you? How do you define freedom in one sentence? Because you'll realize sometimes you have, like, not only have you achieved something, but you have, like, conflicting things. Like a lot of times in your definition of something. Because once you define it very clearly, you'll realize that you'll understand, like, you know, we're going to get into rules later on, and rules that we have to feel successful. What rule has to happen? What has to happen for you to feel successful? Because right now we're going to get into we're getting the human needs in our next session. All this will start to come together, but we all have rules to feel a certain way. Like, for you to feel happy, what has to happen? For you to feel free, what has to happen? Because you say freedom to travel, but for you to feel free, what has to happen? What's the rule for that? Like a passion, how do you know you're doing your passion? Like, being very specific with everything. So what I want you to do is I'm gonna give you guys just an exercise to do. So we'll use the word freedom. All of you, almost every single one used freedom in here. So we're gonna use freedom. So as I told you guys, how do you define freedom in one sentence? Just right. You can do this later when you finish this, whenever. But I want you guys to define freedom in one sentence. And then I want you to look, how does freedom look in this moment? is what you're going to ask yourself. I'm going to give you 2 scenarios. And I want you guys to do this while you're at home. And I won't say my answer, but I want you guys to start to think about this so you can understand the power of definition and the power of in context. The context matters. The context matters. The syntax matters as well, but that's like next level. That's like a deeper course we go into. And syntax means the order you put things in. That matters. So the metaphor that Tony Robbins always uses is the dog bit Johnny. But when we use syntax, that means the order really matters. So if I said the dog bit Johnny or Johnny bit the dog, there's a big difference, especially for Johnny. And this is syntax. This matters, the order that you want things in. But that's like, of course, that's next level, but at least get your brain kind of aware of that. But so with freedom, I want you guys to write down what's your definition of freedom, number 1. And number 2 is, how does it look in this moment? And I'm going to give you 2 examples. I'm going to give you 2 scenarios that you guys are going to do this on your own. First one is when you're on vacation. When you're on vacation, what does freedom look like? That one might be a little harder to answer because there's a different definition for it. Because we kind of just put it, because when you deal with it in every scenario, when you realize what does freedom look like for me in this moment, what does freedom look like for me in this moment, you become more aware. You have to become more aware to understand it. Because when you just do the same thing over and over again, trying to, like, this is going to make me happy because it made you happy before, we call that just doing the same programming over again. And this is something that happens a lot. We just do the same program and think we're going to get the same results. But the law of diminishing returns happens and it's just not as fun anymore. You have to redefine it. So the first one is, how do you define freedom on vacation? The second one is, how do you define freedom when you're at work? And one of the amazing things that's going to happen as you're filling this out, you can come up with your own scenarios. How do you describe freedom when you're with your family? How do you describe freedom when you're out for a walk? You'll realize that, wait a minute, I do have different definitions for this. But what happens is we use the same definition. We use the same definition when it's out of context. Context really matters, because context helps your brain to understand what do you actually want. If I said, I tried to fly somewhere, I tried to fly somewhere with Billy, but they wouldn't let Billy in the airport. Like Billy, I don't know if he was too short, if it was his brown eyes, or because he was black. I don't know. He was making a lot of noise. I don't know. They wouldn't let Billy in the airport. Crazy. Like this happened in LA. They wouldn't let Billy in the airport. They wouldn't let me take Billy on the flight. Billy couldn't come. And you're like, that's really messed up. And I'm like, I forgot the context. Billy was a horse. And then you're like, context matters. Context matters. Because you see, when I was telling that story, you were picturing a person. And maybe when I said, that they wouldn't let me take him, maybe someone switched really quick to be like, maybe it's an animal. Or maybe someone, so you can see when all these minds we have, we mix up definitions. We're so confused, definition, what does that mean? What does it mean right now? Just take a time what does it mean? What does peace mean to you? Maybe peace is being around the people you love. But when you're around the people you love, what is peace? And what happens, we'll replay the same programming. Peace is being around them, and I'm around them, cool. But I'm not at peace, so I gotta be around them more. But then you're less at peace by doing it. It means probably some of you guys, when you have a hard time, you have a sad day or something, you listen to sad music. It's kind of what we do, because that kind of it doesn't make you feel better. It keeps you in the same state. We have these definitions. What do you need right now? Actually, I need some happy music. It sounds weird, but if you can anticipate freedom, what does that mean? Contentment, what does that mean? And put it in different scenarios, you'll realize that, wow, as I do this, things start to become more clear. And by doing this, not only are things more clear, but you'll be at more peace. You'll feel more free because you realize, I just want to be happy. And what does happiness mean in this moment? That definition is important because that determines how you feel, because it's going to mean something to you. For me, when we finish this call in a minute or two, I mean, like, how will I know that I did a good job with this? How do I know that I helped someone? Like, you could send me a message saying, Luke, that last session helped me so much. But if I don't believe that, I got to believe something. It has to be my definition. And as you guys know from the last session, I said that I just wanted to be a blessing. That's it. I want to be a blessing. I'm going to do the best that I can with this light shining in my face for an hour. I did the best that I can. I feel successful. I feel happy. But that's because of the definition that I have. If I had everyone was smiling at me the whole time, if that was my definition or that was my rule to feel happy, that'd be pretty tough. And I'd probably finish this call like, I don't know, everyone wasn't smiling the whole time. Like I saw Sherry kind of smile, but she had her arms crossed. I thought she was mad. And then I seen Jeannie, she was kind of happy. She smiled sometimes, but I think maybe she's watching a show. She's not even watching what I'm talking about. You know, this is how our mind works, guys. This is the truth. Our mind works like this. So when you really define it, you're clearing up your mind so that none of that stuff sneaks in. Because I know what definition of freedom looks like. For me, in my life, freedom for me is waking up in the morning and going to sleep at night, and in between that, doing what I want to do. Very clear. Because when it's clear what you want, it naturally becomes clear what you don't want. So if Jeannie would have came back with a celery stick when I asked for the peanut butter, it's very clear that there's something going on with the communication. Either I wasn't clear or she wasn't clear what's going on. But the more specific, the more clarity you can have. Clarity is power. So I want you guys to go over freedom, but go over a lot of words and ask yourself, even if you don't want to define it, just ask yourself, you can skip it. I skip that part. But I think in the beginning, you need to understand the definition of it. And then ask yourself, what does it look like in this moment? Because now I ask myself, what does it look like in this moment? Like, I want to be happy. What does happy look like in this moment? You're on a private jet flying somewhere. What does happy look like in this moment? Because sometimes being happy is just a smile. Like when I'm with my family, being happy is just being there with my family. That's it. Because sometimes we overcomplicate it. Like, just keep it simple. Simple definition in this moment. Does that make sense to everybody? Clap your hands, say boom. Boom. I love it. I love it. So today, definition. And if you can take one other thing, one other side note from this, take the react, respond, and anticipate. When you start to anticipate things, oh, that's the example I was going to give. I almost forgot. Huge example right now. So with the iPhone 12, I don't know if you guys know this, but this is the perfect idea of why Apple is a huge trillion-dollar company, with a T. They anticipate what you're going to want, and they make it before you even thought about it. That's why. If I were to create something that's already around, you're like, okay. Or if I were just to react, oh, everyone's doing this, I need to do this. I'm going to sell it to you. I'm going to make this for you. Like, oh, we've already seen that 1,000 times. So what Apple did is on their iPhone 12, you can't upload the videos to YouTube from the iPhone 12 directly. It doesn't work. Like, the quality of the iPhone 12 is too advanced to be uploaded on YouTube raw. It has to go through you have to lower the quality on it. That's anticipating. It's the exact example of anticipating. Because when you can anticipate, that's power. When I can anticipate, oh, what you guys are going to ask or how you guys are going to feel, or I can anticipate that, hey, I lose my train of thought like 10 times in a speech. I'm really good at covering it up, but I lose it. If I can't cover it up, I'm just going to tell you guys I lost my train of thought. If I can anticipate that, I can tell you that before, so when it happens, you guys are like, oh, he said he was going to do it. He only did it twice. He has like 8 more times in his next 30 seconds. Like, that's the power of anticipation with everything you guys are doing. So when you have the definitions and anticipation, these are powerful. I anticipate that I'm going to be in Bali one day. I'm collapsing time to get there. But what am I going to do when I'm there? Because when you know, oh, I want to own a coconut farm there, you can start researching coconuts before you're even here. So when you get here, you hit the ground running. Everyone does it. You guys all do it, whether you know it or not. When you're traveling, you look up. You anticipate that when you arrive in the place you're going to travel to, you're going to need a place to sleep. So what do? Everyone books a hotel. Like, how'd you know to book a hotel? I don't know. I just anticipated that I was going to need a place to sleep. And you don't even think about it anymore because it's just in your brain. You've moved it from your subconscious, from your conscious to your subconscious. You don't even think about it. First thing you do is look for the hotel. Look at the price of the hotel. You're anticipating. Some of you guys are looking at homes. You're anticipating on not coming back. Like, you're anticipating it. And that's the thing. That's the power right there. Your definition and then anticipating. Good? Everyone's all right? Yeah. Ooh. Oh man, was there any questions? Any last questions? I literally, in my mind, I wanted to keep this session like 20 minutes. It's supposed to be very simple, but I hope you guys got value. It's my thing to over deliver. I love it. It's my favorite thing. Any questions? Are we all good? All good? Perfect. So what I'm going to do for the next session, we're meeting on Friday, the same time. I'm going to send you guys an email with the link there, so it's super clear. I can link it here, but it'd be better if I just link it and send it straight to you guys, and you guys have it. And I'll send all of them, so you have it for each day. You can just go back to that email, and then, yeah, we'll meet here. Appreciate you guys' questions as well. I meant to say that at the beginning of this is always ask you guys questions. The more questions you ask, it's better for everyone, because we always feel like we're alone with this question. Like, this is a crazy question. I don't know if everyone wanted to ask that question. They were just a little bit scared to. I love questions about fear, because everyone's scared to ask a question. So when someone asks a question about fear, it like relieves everyone. Like, whew, someone else did it, not me. So the questions is what really helps people. And also it helps the people who are gonna watch the replay. Your questions are amazing. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys spending time with me. And I'll see you guys on Friday, or Friday for everyone. Friday, okay, everyone? Thank you guys. Have a great day, morning. See you guys Friday.